Hello, and welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Emmy, and I am the founder of Emmy Eats, as well as this channel, which is Emmy's World, where I like to talk about things I'm passionate about, from food to my work as a consultant and much more. Today, I'll be covering the 10 things that I wish I knew before I became a consultant. And these are the 10 that just kind of came to my mind yesterday as I was trying to come up with a topic for this video. And they're the first 10, but they by no means are the only 10. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe while you're at it, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions as well. And I quickly just want to give a disclaimer that these are the 10 things that I wish I knew. These are also 10 things that relate either to my personal experience or the personal experience of a lot of other consultants that I know. This by no means is going to be the gospel or written in stone for what your experience in consulting might be. So I put my disclaimer out there. All right, let's get started. So up first is consulting is a vast industry. So before working at my current firm, I did work at another consulting firm, and I feel as though each firm, not only will they specialize in different things, so you'll have kind of your more boutique firms that maybe only work in certain industries, or you'll have your big three, your big four. Before you get into consulting, if that's a career that you want to pursue, just be sure to look and do your due diligence on the type of company that you're going to go work for and what opportunities they have there. Not all firms are going to have the same functions, even if they are both, say, management strategy focused. So know kind of the role exactly that you want to go into, and ask the questions you need to ask during the interview process, or if you do an informational interview as well. Number 2, so non-consultants won't exactly understand what it is you do all the time and why you do it. So it's interesting for me because a lot of my friends who are in industry, I'll kind of explain what I do, but it's one of those things where even some of my friends who are at the same firm that I am at but are in a different role won't really understand what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's just kind of part of the knowledge asymmetry that comes with consulting, where at the beginning of a new, some companies call it a new case, some companies call it a new project. But at the beginning of one, you won't really even know potentially what you're doing. And so I remember one of my projects, I got there and I had no idea what I was doing, and it took about 4 or so weeks really just to like fully understand the industry, fully understand what, not necessarily what we're brought in to do, but like what are all the components and the ramifications, the requirements we had to gather, and then all the different parties from the business we needed to engage to get the job done. So if it can take you that long to figure out what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, it definitely is going to take some people who are not related to your field or your industry quite a while to figure out what you're doing. So patience is key. So on that note, this one actually speaks directly to my life because not only will your friends or just non-consultants struggle a little bit to understand what you're doing and why, but for me, this one is kind of funny because your family will have no clue what you're doing. So I talked about this a little bit in the video that's a week in my life as a consultant. I'll put it in the description box below. Go ahead and check that one out, where I do a Q&A at the end. But I am Nigerian and I come from a Nigerian family. It was really interesting because I talk about it in that video how one of my older sisters was also a consultant and at a different firm, but it was a very interesting experience watching my parents react to her being one, and all the travel and being away from home, not understanding exactly what she was doing at client site and why she had to fly to all these random locations. And so when I was a sophomore, she had kind of gotten into a sophomore in college, she had kind of gotten into the full swing of the consulting grind. And so as I went through interviews sophomore year to do a consulting internship, my mom was super nervous and was just like, why would you choose a lifestyle where you're on the road 4 days out of the week? That summer I ended up at a consulting firm where I actually was local the whole summer, so she didn't mind it so much. And then when I interviewed again my senior year, I decided to go to a different consulting firm. My mom was not the happiest person. So basically, the firm I went to was known to have a lot more travel, and I've spent probably in 2018, I probably traveled at least 47 out of the 52 weeks of the year, if not more. I think 2 of those weeks were actually for fun travel, but still I was gone most of the time. And if you have either international parents or kind of strict parents or a very tight-knit family, something in there that you can kind of relate to, you'll probably understand what I'm talking about when your parents just kind of want everyone to stay a little bit closer to home to be able to see you at regular times. Because when you come back from a week traveling for work, you have very limited time. You have about 2.5 days to kind of spread amongst all the people you want to see. So yeah, traveling is super fun until it's not. I now kind of hate O'Hare Airport a little bit. It's fine when you're going on vacation. So recently I took a trip to Belgium just for fun because I wanted to get away. It was actually my first vacation that I'd taken since starting my job as a consultant at this firm, and it was amazing. Like, that was exciting travel. I was excited to go to the airport. I was excited, well, because I have TSA pre-check, I was excited to go through security and get to my gate, go to the airplane. It was like, everything was fun about it. But when you're traveling for work and you have to wake up at 4 a.m. on a Monday morning, get ready, get to the airport, go through TSA, which is actually better on Mondays, I found, because most people who are traveling that early in the morning are traveling for business. So no one's like kind of lollygagging. Everyone knows how the process works and they just go straight through line. But then you land at wherever your client site is, and it's not like you're there for fun. You pretty much go, or in my experience, you go straight to the client site. You then work a full day, 8 to 10 hours, and then you go, and maybe you have a team dinner or some other kind of team bonding engagement, and then you go to the hotel and you can kind of unwind. So you have a really long day. And then between Tuesday and Thursday, it's not as if you have time to really explore the cities that you're in unless you stay for the weekend. So you are working that whole time. People think, oh, like, you should know everything there is to know about, name the city you've been to, Dallas, Seattle, wherever. And you really don't, because you spend all of your time in an office. And then on Thursdays, you get back and you are exhausted, only to then have to still work on Friday. But luckily, you can either work from your home office or you can work from your home. And then you have your weekend. Hopefully you're not working. Rinse and repeat. And I wish someone had said or emphasized more before I had started this career, is that it's so much harder to maintain friendships. Then I guess this is one, just part of being an adult in the working world or the workforce, where you don't have as much time as you did in school to just hang out with people because you're working all the time. Like, you really have to take the initiative to make time to hang out with the people that are important to you. Not because people are like just fading out of your life, which is natural when you're becoming, as you get older, but because everyone has their own thing going on, especially if you can't be around Monday to whatever day you travel, Wednesday, Thursday. That's just missed opportunities to either get dinner or to hang out after work or after someone's class or whatever it is. But it can really be a struggle, because at least I know a lot of my friends who are local, in their same office all the time for work. It's easy to just kind of like see people and hang out afterwards. But when you're in the line of consulting, it can be kind of hard. You really just have to have a certain level of intentionality, and you need to be really good at managing your time and planning ahead so that you can still, grow those friendships, because friendships take work, friendships take a lot of energy and planning, and it's a two-way street. So you can't just expect that when you come back to town, everyone's gonna want to reach out to you and hang out with you, because your schedule's pretty unpredictable. So you have to kind of, make sure that you extend those lines of branches, those invitations, whatever it is, and keep those friendships up, especially for the people that are most important to you. if you're anything like me, I took my Myers-Briggs, and well, I've taken it many times, and it always says that I'm like right on the cusp of a lot of things, except for a J. I'm a hardcore J. Let me know your Myers-Briggs below. I think that those things are interesting. I don't necessarily fully believe in them, but that's a topic for a different day. Anyways, I am an ambivert. So basically I can switch between extroversion, introversion, thinking, feeling, sensing, etc., etc., whatever. Whereas some people are full-on introverts or they're extroverts. It's a little bit harder for ambiverts because it really just depends on the circumstance or the situation. But one thing that I have learned from being a consultant is that no matter what, on a Thursday night after I have flown back from a week of working, I will be an introvert, and most likely you will too. So I have 5 roommates in Chicago, which is kind of crazy, and we all are consultants. But what's interesting is a lot of my roommates are super extroverted, which I love them for, and it really helps me to get out of my comfort zone. So if you are a little bit more introverted of a person, definitely have at least 1 or 2 extroverts who like get you to go do something so you're not so much of a homebody. But which there's no problem with being a homebody. I would rather stay in and watch a movie any night than go out. But one thing that I have noticed is on a Thursday night, I will go straight to my room, and my roommates just know that that is my time to decompress and unwind. So I think it's really important that you find whatever it is for you. If you decide to pursue a life in consulting, that you kind of have your hobbies, you have your routines, where maybe it's coming back from work and just reading a book on Thursday night, or it's coming back and watching a TV show if you can, or maybe it's coming back and working out. But on Thursday nights, you will most likely become an introvert. Number 7, certifications are great. I'll keep this one super short and sweet, but if you are still in school and you have the opportunity to get certified in Tableau, Excel, whatever it is, you could take the PMP, which I believe is Project Management Professional. Get those certifications while you can. If you can get them through your school so you don't have to pay for them, that is a great idea. Or if you're already in the workforce and you can get those certifications while you're working and your company will pay for it, that's also a really good idea. But it's always better to have a certification than not to, so you can kind of build your own brand and stand out from the pack. So the next one is really interesting because I knew it was coming before I became a consultant, but no one really said exactly how hard or much of a struggle it can be for people. I haven't really had a horrible experience with it myself, but relationships. So relationships can really be a struggle if you are staffed out of town, out of your hometown. I remember my sister, when she was a consultant before she switched to industry, she would just comment on how it can be really difficult, especially if you don't start a relationship, or if you aren't in a relationship with someone who either was a former consultant or is currently a consultant. I've noticed personally that people who came into the line of consulting already in a relationship tend to fare pretty well, and those who start a relationship while they are in consulting with another consultant also tend to do pretty well. But the amount of times I have seen people who start a relationship with a consultant, so some of my friends who aren't consultants starting a relationship with a consultant, or some of my friends who are consultants starting a relationship with someone who's not a consultant. I mean, anything can happen, and I'm not saying that this will happen to you, but those ones tend to be the most strenuous because it's really hard to kind of start a relationship and get to know about someone and go through all those initial phases while you are gone most of the time. So when you go to a client site as a consultant and you are not the only one there working for that specific client, maybe you have the first 3 consulting firms that come to my mind are, you have Accenture, PwC, and Protiviti, all at the same client site. In my experience, especially on one particular project, it can feel as though you have stepped into a time machine and you're back in college, where there were sororities and fraternities and biz frats and everyone had their own little group or clique, or, you know, kind of like a high school clique. it's interesting to see it play out in the workforce where everyone just kind of finds their own clique, and you know, it can happen within your firm too, but I think it's really interesting watching the dynamics between different consulting firms that are all at the same client site. Last but not least, I think so many people will tell you that consulting is a strenuous job, there's a high burn rate, and all that is super true. But the 10th thing that I want to share with you guys today is consulting will open you up to so many unexpected and amazing opportunities. If it wasn't for my job in consulting, there's no way that I would have gone to Iceland last year for a weekend, which was crazy, and meet James Norton, shout out to him, one of my favorite British actors. If it wasn't for consulting, I wouldn't have even just met some amazing speakers from the Chicagoland area, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, just a lot of really cool people who are doing great things. And a role in consulting can facilitate this because you can make a lot of really good friends. So in my start class, there were 45 to 50 of us that started all at the same time. And I found a lot of cool friends through that who were interested in the same things that I was interested in. And from there, I got staffed with a couple of them on my first project, and we went to Iceland. Or with Belgium, like I was able to go there because you can use your miles and you can use your hotel points, etc. So there are a lot of different things, both relationally with creating new friends, as well as opportunities to travel or even to do the blog. Like a lot of that food, at least the ones from when I'm traveling on client site, is things that I have been able to experience because of my job. And so if you haven't checked out my Seattle food guide or my Plano, Texas food guide, go ahead and click on those. I'll leave them in the description box below as well. But it's really an amazing profession, just so much for you to learn on the job, especially for whatever work you potentially want to do later. Either you will stay in consulting and you can specialize, or if one day you decide to exit to industry, you will have learned so much more. It's kind of like an exponential learning curve in comparison to other careers. And I feel like if you seek out opportunities, or you just say yes to a lot of opportunities at your consulting firm, it'll just make your life so much more exciting. So if you've made your way through these 10 different things and you're like, oh, that didn't sound so bad, or like I can relate to that, or I want to be able to do that, then maybe consulting is a line of work for you. If you have any questions, please don't forget to leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer those. Any other content you want to see, please let me know as well. Don't forget to like this video and to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.